Hi, this is Alex from PHP Academy and welcome to this tutorial on the HTML5 Geolocation API. So what we're going to be doing is at the start of the tutorial we're going to briefly explain how this works, look at some code that we can write, very simple to click a link and get our location on a map. And then we're going to talk about some of the more advanced features, so something that you might not need to use but something that might be interesting to those of you that want to take this a bit further and perhaps gain some more accuracy on GPS enabled devices. So the first thing to do is obviously have a look at how this works. You can see that I've got a map just in front of me here. I've got a link just up here, and when I click get location, the website's going to ask for my permission, which is a really important feature here because you can't gain a user's location without asking their permission. So they have to allow this. It's opt-in rather than opt-out. So once we've gained their location, we're going to show this on a Google embedded map. So let's go ahead and click get location and see what happens. You see we got this little thing pop down, similar on Firefox and other browsers, but I'm just using Chrome to test this. So it says localhost, which we're obviously running on a local server, wants to use your computer's location. So we can either learn more, allow, or deny this. So the learn more will probably just take you to some Google page. I haven't actually clicked it. Deny will, it won't let the website determine our location. But if we click allow, what this is going to do is it's going to pinpoint us to our location. Now, don't get too excited. This isn't where I live. It's actually quite a few miles from my house because this is more than likely IP determined. So it's very rough idea. I'm sat at home at the moment on my computer just using my internet service provider's internet connection. If I was on a mobile device, it might use cell tower pinpointing, so that's usually accurate to I think about 1,000 meters. I'm not sure, or a kilometer. I'm not sure. Maybe go and look that one up before you take my accuracy advice. If I had a GPS hardware enabled device, my location could more or less be pinpointed accurately. And this is for things where you need exact location. So this sort of brings us on to how geolocation works and what we should be using and when. At the moment, let's just say I wanted to use geolocation to find takeaways in my local area. This would more than likely suffice because although this is only still a couple of miles from my house, if we were looking at a larger area and where can deliver, for example, then this would be good enough. If we were, for example, giving users specific instructions, so for example directions, especially in real time, then this would absolutely not do. We'd need a GPS enabled device, and this comes a bit later in the tutorial when we look at more advanced options. But what we're going to do for now though is write the basic code that we need to do this. Obviously this is all JavaScript based, so we're going to create an event handler. We're not going to be using an external library like jQuery to handle all of this because the pure JavaScript is absolutely fine for this. So we're going to do this on a page. Everything's going to go on one page. It's going to be super concentrated and easy, and you can see just how easy it is to determine a user's location. So we'll go ahead and look at that now. We'll clear the canvas and start writing some code from scratch. Okay, so we've arrived over at our text editor. You can see that I've got a basic HTML5 doc type and a document outline. So we're going to be placing everything in the body. We're going to do some inline script just so we've got everything on one page. It makes it a lot easier to concentrate on. But otherwise, keep all of your JavaScript files in an external file and load them at the bottom of your page. So the first thing to do really is to create this link that we're going to click for the user to, have our location determined. I'm just going to go ahead and actually no, we'll leave that. So this is blank. We may need to adjust the settings because I've already allowed my browser to have my location. So we want to get the full effect as you guys will be writing at the moment. So we want the browser to ask for our location. So I'll go ahead and reset that in just a moment. Let's go ahead and create this anchor. So this is going to just say get location, and the href for this is going to be it's just a hash, and we're going to give an ID to this so we can set this up with an event handler, and we'll just say get underscore location. So underneath this we need to give our map. So I'm just going to create a div with the ID of map, And inside of this, I'm going to copy and paste this. I'm not going to waste any time typing this out. You guys can go ahead and copy this. So I'll just show you what we've got here. So we've got an iframe. The ID of this is Google Maps, so we'll target this as well because we need to change the source. We've got the width on there, we've got the height on there, we've got a frame border 0, scrolling no, margin height 0, margin width 0, and then we've got a source. Now this is the original source. Basically this just links to maps.google.co.uk. Obviously if you're in another country, that can be your own TLD. We have got output equals embed as the query string after that. And that's all we need. We'll change this source later when the user allows the location to be found, and then that will show where we are. Now, there are obviously loads of things that you can do with geolocation. Essentially, what we're getting back is the coordinates of the user. So we don't have to tie ourselves down to Google Maps. We can use any other map service that supports coordinates. We can use other APIs and pass coordinates in. We can grab the latitude and longitude, so we don't need to worry about tying ourselves down. This is just an example, so just adjust that. So yeah, this is just an example here. So now on to the good stuff. We want to create our event handlers, which is boring, and then use our geolocation API. So let's go ahead and create some script tags. Again, this should be external if you're actually doing this for real. And also I'm going to use global variables as well. So you're going to want to sort of maybe tie this into one namespace. So I'm going to say var, let's not start with that part actually. Let's start with the event handler for clicking our link. Let's start from the basics. So I'm going to say document.get element by ID. And what is that? Well, it's going to be get underscore location. I'm going to say .onClick equals a function. So inside of here is what's going to run when we click that link. So what do we want to do? Well, the first thing we want to do is return false. Otherwise, things go slightly wrong with this callback function. But we're using Navigator to access the geolocation API. So let's say geolocation. You might have seen Navigator elsewhere, perhaps using for like browser detection and stuff. Not recommended, but that's what we're using. And then we're going to use this method called getCurrentPosition. Now we have a callback function in here, which I'm going to call C, which you saw me typing up here just a moment ago, and I said I'd leave that one. So what this is going to do is it's going to call the getCurrentPosition method of geolocation, and it's going to pass in these details that we can then grab and output, do what we want with. So let's go ahead and create this function. So this function is called C. We can call it whatever we want. It really doesn't matter. You're not tied down to anything like this. And one of the arguments here is going to be pos, which is obviously position. And from this, we can say like pos.coords, and we can say we'll grab the latitude, longitude, whatever. So we're going to start with the basics, and later on we'll go to the more advanced stuff. So we're going to say var lat equals pos.coords.latitude. And let's put a comma there, and let's grab the long, so the longitude. We'll say again pos.coords.longitude. So we've got both of these, and then I'm going to create a final one called coords, which is going to combine them. So let's just space these out. And this is going to be lat plus long, but we do want a comma in between them, because this is how the majority of applications take them. So we have the latitude, comma, longitude. So what we can do now is pass this into our map. So we again say document.get element by ID, and this time we want to get Google Map, and then we're going to say .set attribute. This takes two parameters. The first one's the attribute you want to set, which is the source. Remember over here we have the source, just the plain Google Maps start page, if you like. But we want to change this. So we want to do more or less exactly the same thing. So it's https://maps.google.co.uk. And then we have a query string at the end. So we have q equals, and then the coordinates. We have another couple we need to put in, but I'm just going to put 0, 0 there for now. We also have a zoom option, so I'm going to zoom in 60. This is where you can change this. It's variable, so put whatever you want. And then we say output equals embed, as we have done up here. So what we've done is we're just replacing this original source with this. We've got the query string as the latitude and longitude. We've got a zoom of 60, and we have the output of embed. So here, instead of that 0, 0, which doesn't really make sense, we are going to have our coords, which is coords like that. So we're grabbing this value here and plonking that into there. So let's just run through this before we test it in our browser. We have an event handler on our get location button that then calls geolocation and then the get current position method of geolocation. We use our callback function in here, so we've got C for callback. That has pos, which is one of the arguments, which we can then grab the coordinates, so the latitude and longitude, and then we put that into a variable called coords, and then we replace the Google Map iframe source with the this URL and query string. So let's head over to our browser and refresh. Lovely. So everything looks as it should. If I go ahead and hit get location, you see it's automatically pinpointing me. This is something I mentioned a moment ago, because my browser has basically said, you know, you've accepted this site to track your location. So whatever page we're viewing on localhost can track our location if it wants to, because we've given permission. But I'm going to go ahead and clear these settings for future visits. Again, similar for other browsers, so if you're using Firefox, Safari, anything like that, you'll get the same sort of message up each time. This time, this is assuming that a user hasn't visited the site before, hasn't yet given permission. So I'm going to go ahead and click get location. So localhost wants to use your computer's location. We can either allow or deny this. So when I click allow, there we go, and we've pinpointed the location. So that is essentially how we detect the user's location with the HTML5 Geolocation API. In the next video, we're going to look at some more advanced topics, and we're going to delve into this a little deeper. So if you're just wanting to use this sort of general purpose, then you know you've already got this this covered. When we go ahead and inspect this page, you can see that we've got the coordinates here being passed into Google Maps. So go ahead and play around with this and output things, and you know, create alert dialogues for things. And like I said in the next video, we're going to look at this in a bit more detail.